How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and today it's time to take a look at the brand new vehicle coming in to World of Tanks console, and it is definitely a strange looking one, and this is the new tier 9 within World of Tanks, which is the AAT-60, which is a tier 9 tank destroyer from the American line, and it's due to come in on the 4th of July. So of course, yeah, an interesting day for it to come in, and of course probably lined up to be that way. But the American tank destroyer that is the AAT-60, or I guess we can just shorten it to the AA, is of course a tank destroyer, and it features this weird looking kind of yo concept sort of style. And if you know about the Concept 1B, which is the tier 9 heavy tank for this tech tree, then of course this is the similar sort of playstyle tank, and it has that weird frontal armor, and you can see here that from the front it looks pretty nice. I mean, it's very well rounded. You've got big kind of good armor that's on the turret, although 245 pen at tier 9 is probably going to be able to be penned by quite a few people, but it is quite well angled, as you can see from the side profile here, that it's going to be a bit of a pain to be able to realistically pen this quite often. But one thing that you can note is that when you're playing in this vehicle, you can expect that when it's using its gun depression, you're going to be able to shoot up into that turret, which means you're going to be able to pen this thing a lot easier. Now remember as well, because this tank also has those cheeks which are quite flat and they're rounded, you can pen them through there, as well as the fact that you can go for the lower plate too. And the side of the turret is pretty paper. I mean, you're looking at what, like 70mm on the side, something in that region, 90mm, sorry. So yeah, I mean, it's nothing spectacular, and as soon as you give them the side, they're going to go straight through it. It has a cupola on the top of the vehicle, or cupola, which you can pen straight into the top of this tank if you're looking at it kind of flat on. Or of course you can try and pen the upper plate, which isn't particularly amazing either, especially if it's angling, since it is a rounded shaped hole, which is essentially one that you can basically pen from this sort of angle quite easily. And then of course you can go through the side armor of the tank too. So in general, I think this tank looks very kind of interesting. And of course, let's have a look at the statistics of the vehicle. These are the base stats. These are the first look. It will be coming in on the 4th of July. This is currently in the game. You can have a look for yourself in the tech tree. Of course, it's not been on sale yet until July 4th. And we have the price for it. I'll just get that a second for you guys so you know how much it's going to cost you. So for the ultimate version, which is essentially the version that comes with a ton of extra stuff that Wargaming is saying it will come with, it's going to cost you 15,200 gold. So quite expensive, but then you go for the loaded bundle, which gives you some XP boosters and some premium time. That's 13,800. And most importantly, the base version of the tank is 11,500 gold, which is quite expensive. And considering that this isn't actually a premium tank that earns more silver, yeah, I mean, it's just down to the fact whether you want to play this tank. Now, first things first, let's have a look at the other statistics of the vehicle. We've had a look at the armor. It looks okay. I'm sure it's going to be able to bounce a few rounds. Nothing like ridiculous. I don't think it's going to be the new kind of Vipera with tier 9 for the Americans for sure. But it's definitely going to be able to, you know, bounce a few rounds here and there, and you probably shouldn't rely on it. But of course, when you do get hold down, I think it will be fairly decent. But most importantly, you're seeing there the max speed, 67 kilometers an hour. Now that is super fast, but one of the most important things that you've got to take note of is, does it have the horsepower to ton ratio to allow you to get up to that top speed? Because we all know about the IS-7, it says it can do like, you know, 55 kilometers an hour or something like that. Which can be boosted even higher, but it doesn't have the best power to weight ratio. This tank, 18.6 horsepower to weight ratio, which is good. and that means that you're going to be able to actually get up to that top speed fairly well. It's probably going to have good acceleration. You'll be looking at this tank actually mobilizing around the battlefield really nicely. So that's something that's going to be interesting about this tank is if you use it in that way where you're repositioning around all of the time in this tank, I think it's going to be very, very strong. And you can even see the top reverse speed of 24 kilometers an hour. That's quite fast as well, and that's going to open up a lot of opportunities for you to actually play this tank in a variety of different ways. And when you've got 420 alpha damage in this tank, it's not your typical 100 mil or 105 mil, it's actually got that extra 20 damage, so that's going to be nice for you to outtrade a lot of the medium tanks, stuff like that in the game. And primarily you'll probably be playing this more like a medium tank than your traditional tank destroyer, but of course that is because of the fact that you've got terrible accuracy, or at least the base version of the accuracy for this tank, 0.39. Now, in the grand scheme of things, it is not the worst accuracy in the game by far, but it is not amazing. 0.39, of course, when you start adding in, all of the bonuses that you can use in the game, you can get it down to probably 0.3, to be honest with you, considering the fact that you can have rammer, you can have vents, you can have all sorts to add to that, and of course you can use all of the perks that we have, or crew skills, whatever you want to call the crew skills, to be honest with you. You can use things like steady aim, and that's just going to boost that accuracy right up, which I highly recommend in this tank from the start. We'll be doing a full review of the tank and the full tank review, but I thought it was definitely something worth mentioning in this video, and hence why I wanted to showcase it. But I wanted to let you know, so when it drops on July 4th and the video comes out slightly after, that you'll kind of get an idea as to whether you want to purchase this, how to take it out, that sort of thing. Now, the tank does have 10 degrees of gun depression, as you can expect, which is nice. The accuracy, like we said, not particularly amazing. Aim time, however, very good, 1.7 seconds, which is fantastic. Ammo capacity, more than enough. This is really nice. I hate it when Wargaming introduce tanks that their limiting factor is that you don't have a lot of ammunition. This isn't going to have that problem. 63 rounds with this thing. Best thing as well is that the standard rounds are APCR, premium rounds are heat, and the third round is HE. And of course, with the following penetration values, you've got 231 on the standard, or 251 on the standard even, 325 on the heat, and 53 on the HE. So very, very powerful when it comes to penetration wise for a tier 9 kind of tank destroyer, medium hybrid-y type tank. That's basically what this thing is. It's almost like a medium tank, a tank destroyer, kind of heavy tank hybrid when you think about how this tank is probably going to play. Reload 9.2 seconds, so it's not amazing, and of course that is because you get that extra 20 damage, so you can out-trade a lot of people. 2,700 base damage per minute is perfectly fine. I mean, it's nothing outrageous, but it's also not going to be a limiting factor, I don't think, with this tank. And essentially that can get boosted up to probably near on 3,500 with all of the perks and equipment that you can put on, things like gun rammer, or some of the perks like rapid loading, etc. You're essentially going to get that really high, so that's nice as well, and that's going to allow you to just plow through opponents quite easily. You'll probably be looking at about a 7-second reload on with this tank fully kitted out in that way, so that's very good as well. View range 380 meters. That means that you're going to be able to outspot quite a few opponents, I think, with this tank, if you're using coated optics or advanced optics, and essentially that will just boost up that view range to a more reasonable amount. I mean, it's nothing perfect right now. Concealment, obviously, tank is huge. It's obviously not got the best concealment, so you're just going to have to play it almost like that more aggressive tank, and of course you're not going to be able to just sit back in the back of the map with this tank sniping. I don't think that that's how Wargaming have tried to make this tank, and yeah, I think that you'd be better off just kind of making more of an aggressive play, almost playing it like a medium tank rather than that tank destroyer role that it's designated as. And of course, I think this tank will be a decent one. It does get a lackluster amount of hit points, only 1,650, which if we were to compare it to some of the mediums and heavies and stuff, it is lower, but at the same time, it is fairly standard for these tank destroyers at this tier. So I don't think it's outrageously horrible or anything like that. And I mean, comparatively, it has more hit points than the TL7 Black. So, you know, a similar sort of tank. It's a tank destroyer at tier 9 for the American line. Gets an extra 150 hit points over that vehicle. It's faster. And of course, yeah, I think this tank will be an interesting one to play. Do I say straight away, should you go and buy it? I think that it's probably one to hold off on until it comes into the game, but I think it is more than a capable, statistically, tank that should be quite good in game. So I don't think it would be awful if you just went out and bought it, to be honest with you. But of course, we will be looking at a full tank review, so you'll get to see how this thing plays, how it actually works, and that video will be coming next week. So just stay tuned for that. I think it's going to be an interesting one once again, and hopefully you have been enjoying the videos. Make sure to let me know what sort of videos you want to see next, and when we get more information on tanks that come into the game, we'll be uploading that, and of course you can see it on the channel. So stay tuned. We will have a giveaway coming soon, so I've got to sort that one out, and that'll be some Tankfest related stuff, so that'll be really cool. And of course, once again, thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope you watch this video, which looks at some of the newer tanks that have come in, and also some of the season pass tanks that will be in the gameplay and tank reviews playlist, which is definitely something to have a look at if you're interested in learning how to play a ton of different tanks, what sort of setups you want to be using, etc. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you join me in the next one, and I'll see you there. Goodbye.